Hi, hello! My name is Eric, not real Eric, and in this video I'm going to showcase the 8BitDo arcade stick on the Nintendo Switch 2. The 8BitDo arcade stick is a quality arcade stick that goes for sale for under $100 on the 8BitDo website and their Amazon page. The arcade stick works on PC and Nintendo Switch consoles and can connect through the included 2.4 GHz adapter and through Bluetooth. Alongside its arcade stick and 8 primary action buttons, the 8BitDo arcade stick also features dedicated buttons for home/turbo, screenshots, pairing, and houses knobs to switch between control sticks or D-pad controls. So let's pair the arcade stick to our Nintendo Switch and let's get into some gameplay. Our first game is Super Mario Advance via Nintendo Switch Online's Game Boy Advance app. More specifically, we're loading up Mario Bros., the remake included with many other Mario Game Boy Advance titles. This version of Mario Bros. Is a wonderful remake of the 1983 original arcade game. Playing what's at heart an arcade game with an arcade stick just feels right. Our second game is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, specifically trying out its challenge mode. This is a good test for more precise platforming, where timing and movement matter a lot more than it did back with Mario Bros. The 8BitDo arcade stick gets the job done fine. However, in games like this, I still find that a traditional controller is more precise and more accurate. Up next is Mina the Hollower. In a prior video showcasing the old Mina demo, I said I couldn't wait for its original Halloween 2025 release date. Well, half a year and a delay later, Mina the Hollower is finally out, and unsurprisingly, it plays pretty well with this arcade stick setup. Just like Shovel Knight, Mina the Hollower is a masterclass at controls. Our next title is Donkey Kong Bananza. Because we only have one stick control at a time, we have to rely on the game's in-game camera to follow all of the action. The arcade stick handles all of Donkey Kong's major attacks well, and mashing that attack button is incredibly satisfying. Up next is Arcade Archives Donkey Kong all the way from 1981. This is the game that started it all. I love playing this game at any arcade, barcade, anywhere I visit. However, in my testing at the 8BitDo arcade stick, I found that the upward input on this stick wasn't always accurate and did lead to a few misinputs on screen, as we can see here. Wrapping up with DK, we are playing Donkey Kong 64 through the Nintendo 64 and Nintendo Switch Online app. I figured an arcade stick playing an N64 game, a console built around a single analog stick, might lead to some interesting results. In the end, Donkey Kong 64 is mostly playable here, though it does lack those readily available C buttons, which would have made this a lot easier. Our next title is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and this one was tough, because it relies heavily on using both analog sticks while also making frequent use of the D-pad. As a result, fighting King Gleeok was not very successful overall. However, I was still able to land a stagger and show that in theory, it is possible to take him down using this setup. The The next title is Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. As a game that asks you to mash the Y and the X buttons repeatedly, this setup actually feels very satisfying using the arcade stick's buttons. However, what I rediscovered while testing out this game is actually how dark the game's contrast actually is, especially in these more chaotic combat areas. Up next is Soul Calibur 2 with the GameCube and Nintendo Switch Online app. This one plays like a dream using the arcade stick setup, and I'm very glad that everything mapped out exactly as I would have imagined. Every stick movement, slash, and kick feels super responsive and clean, making this one of the smoothest experiences of this entire test. With The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time's remake due out in holiday 2026, I felt a bit nostalgic and decided to revisit the original N64 masterpiece. Most of the core action inputs are found here: Z-targeting, rolling, attacking, and shielding. The only real limitation comes from the lack of readily accessible C buttons. And that being said, this is more of a limitation on the Nintendo 64's NSO remapping than the arcade stick itself. The next title is Mario Kart World, the Nintendo Switch 2's launch title. The 8BitDo arcade stick handles all of the controls needed for Mario Kart, and mashing its buttons feel very satisfying, albeit loud, especially when you got that gold mushroom and you're going down that finish line. Up next is Pokémon Pokopia. This Nintendo Switch 2 title is very cozy, easygoing, and incredibly customizable in letting you play and design the game how you want. And while this game's inputs are mapped out very well on this arcade stick, it didn't feel particularly comfortable to play for longer test sessions compared to other titles. Continuing with another cozy title, up next is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. One thing I was glad to see in this game is that it includes a classic Super Nintendo style of control with the Type-C controls. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is not a difficult game, and doesn't ask for any complicated button inputs, making it a great suit for the 8BitDo arcade stick. Next is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, the Complete Edition. I got to play this back in the day when it was available on PlayStation Plus for free, so I was one of the lucky ones to experience it before it got eventually delisted back in 2014 due to its licensing issues. I don't believe this game really ever made it to arcades, but I've always wondered, how would it play with this arcade control scheme? And that's what I wanted to test here. Coming up is Super Mario Odyssey. Similar to Donkey Kong Bananza, you have to rely on the game's in-game camera to follow the action due to the lack of a readily available camera. That being said, all of Mario's major moves are still possible here with this arcade control scheme. Mario's jumping, diving, cappy throws, all of that work just as expected. Next up is, this is a long title, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes. Playing this game with the 8BitDo arcade stick is incredibly satisfying and easily one of the highlights of this video for me. The arcade buttons feel right at home with a fighting game just like this, pulling off these weird attacks and combos that somehow I just do even though I don't know how to actually do them. I just smash the buttons. Just feels natural in the setup. Next up is Mario Party Superstars. Going into this test, I figured that the arcade buttons would be perfect for these button mashing minigames, and no Nintendo series is known more for its button mashing than Mario Party. While mashing on these arcade buttons definitely feels better than mashing on a traditional controller, I'm actually a little bit faster on a traditional controller than this arcade stick. Up next is ACA NEOGEO Metal Slug. Metal Slug is a game that I've spent countless coins on in arcade machines in over the years, so I knew I had to bring this match made in heaven together for this video. For its cartoony depiction of the horrific tragedies of warfare, my god is this game fun. Up next is ARMS. This game received a Nintendo Switch 2 update in 2025, and like most fighting games featured thus far, it plays excellently on the 8BitDo arcade stick. Punching, blocking, the weird stretching thing they all do, all of it feels right at home on these arcade buttons. Up next is Star Fox 64. As normally an on-rail shooter, this genre has some deep roots in the arcades, so I was curious to see how Star Fox 64 would play with this control scheme, and what a delight I was in for, because so much of this just worked.
You'll be seeing your dad, Fox.
Shoot! Woo! That was too close!
5 billion! Danger. 1 minute to explosion. Let's take care of these guys first. I can't move!
While I was editing this video, the June 2026 Nintendo Direct was held, and Nintendo released a demo for the Nintendo Switch 2 reimagining of Star Fox 64, simply called Star Fox. And after spending some time with this demo, I am fully convinced I'm buying it. Not only am I excited for the full release, but this has just reinforced how well the 8BitDo arcade stick performs with this style of game.
My instruments can't keep up!
My old crew would have loved this.
Up next is Arcade Archive's PAC-MAN. As the worldwide face of arcade gaming, it should come as no surprise that his arcade debut would play wonderfully with an arcade stick. Next is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. While it's the best-selling fighting game of all time, Ultimate does not play like a traditional fighter, and that becomes especially apparent when we're using the 8BitDo arcade stick. So unlike most fighting games that have a dedicated light and heavy button, Smash Bros. Relies on the directional inputs of the control sticks to perform many of its stronger attacks. So as a result, it's not quite the same as playing other fighting games. And while Smash Bros. Wasn't clearly designed with this arcade stick in mind, it serves as a very fun proof of concept. I didn't buy the 8BitDo arcade stick just to use on my Nintendo Switch 2. Truthfully, I spent a lot of time using it on my other platforms as well. I enjoy using it for Street Fighter 6 on my Xbox thanks to the Mini Flash Magic X adapter.
New generation.
I enjoy using it for Street Fighter 5 on my PC through the 8BitDo arcade stick's included 2.4 GHz receiver. Going back even further, I enjoy using the arcade stick in Ultra Street Fighter 4 on my PlayStation 5 thanks to the Mini Flash Magic S Pro 2 adapter. It's worth noting that the 8BitDo arcade stick is only functional with PlayStation 4 software titles, as any PlayStation 5 software requires the DualSense controller. And I really enjoy playing Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition on my PlayStation 3 thanks to that same Mini Flash Magic S Pro 2 adapter.
Uppercut.
And finally, I even managed to use it with Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition on the Nintendo 3DS. Maybe in a future video I'll explain exactly how that's all possible. And there we have it. The 8BitDo arcade stick turned out to be way more versatile than I expected. From use in classic arcade games to modern fighters, classic fighters, and even a few unexpected setups, it handled a lot more than just Switch 2 titles. That's going to be all for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. My name is Eric, not real Eric. Stay real, stay safe, stay you, and we'll see you in the next one.